You meet someone who feels instantly familiar, like they understand you without trying at all. They mirror your thoughts, your tone, even your emotions, and it feels strangely comfortable, almost effortless. But what feels like connection might be something deeper and far more calculated than you think. Your brain starts trusting them quickly because everything about them feels safe, aligned, and predictable. And that's exactly where the danger begins, hidden inside something that feels completely natural. In everyday conversations, people naturally mirror each other without even realizing it most of the time. You laugh, they laugh. You lean forward, they follow, creating a subtle sense of connection. This makes interactions feel smoother, easier, more comfortable, like you're both on the same wavelength. But your brain doesn't just notice similarity, it rewards it with trust and emotional openness. The more someone feels like you, the more your guard begins to slowly drop. It feels effortless, like you finally found someone who truly understands you without explanation. And because it feels natural, you rarely stop to question why it's happening. Your mind assumes alignment means honesty, even when that assumption isn't always accurate. That sense of being understood becomes addictive, quietly shaping how much you trust them. And that's where something subtle begins to shift, just beneath the surface of the interaction. This is called the chameleon effect, where people unconsciously mimic others to build connection and trust. When someone mirrors you, your brain interprets it as familiarity, which feels safe and predictable. That sense of familiarity lowers your defenses, making you more open without realizing why. Your brain releases positive signals, reinforcing the connection and encouraging you to trust faster. The more they match you, the more your mind starts to relax around them. It feels like alignment, but it's actually your brain responding to patterns it recognizes. Once that pattern forms, your brain builds shortcuts linking similarity directly with trust. That shortcut becomes automatic, influencing your decisions without conscious awareness. But not everyone mirrors unintentionally. Some do it with a clear purpose in mind. Skilled manipulators study your behavior, then reflect it back to create instant connection. They adjust personality, tone, even beliefs to match what feels familiar to you. It creates the illusion they're just like you, even when that's not true at all. Over time, this illusion grows stronger, shaping how you see them and what you believe. You start trusting them faster than usual without fully understanding why it feels so easy. That's because your brain prioritizes comfort over critical thinking in that moment. And the more comfortable you feel, the less you question their intentions or behavior. This creates a subtle imbalance where they understand you more than you understand them. Your awareness drops while their control over the interaction quietly increases. They begin influencing your thoughts, decisions, and emotions without obvious pressure. It feels mutual, but the dynamic is slowly becoming one-sided beneath the surface. Because nothing feels aggressive, the manipulation remains invisible for much longer. Your brain keeps reinforcing the connection even when something feels slightly off. That internal doubt gets dismissed because the overall experience still feels good. And that's how trust forms, not through truth, but through carefully mirrored behavior. By the time you notice it, the connection already feels too real to question easily. As the connection deepens, their influence over your emotions becomes stronger without you noticing. You begin relying on them for validation because they seem to understand you perfectly. But small inconsistencies appear, subtle enough that you question yourself instead of them. Your perception becomes distorted, making it harder to separate what feels real from reality. You try stepping back, but something pulls you in again, reinforcing the connection. Their words begin shaping your thoughts, quietly influencing how you see situations and yourself. Inside, you feel torn between trust and doubt, unsure which feeling to follow anymore. The more you depend on them, the harder it becomes to see the imbalance clearly. You feel trapped in something once safe, but now slightly overwhelming and hard to escape. Your mind becomes overloaded with mixed signals, making it difficult to think clearly. Boundaries begin to blur as their presence slowly takes more space in your life. You start seeking their approval without realizing how much influence they now have. Your sense of identity begins fading slightly, shaped by the dynamic you're in. Even when something feels wrong, the connection keeps pulling you back in. Until one moment, you finally start seeing the pattern clearly for what it is. Awareness is the first step, noticing when someone feels too perfectly aligned with you. Create space before trusting quickly, because real connection takes time, not instant similarity. Start observing patterns instead of reacting emotionally to how interactions make you feel. Look for small inconsistencies where their behavior doesn't fully match their words. Re-engage your critical thinking, even when something feels comfortable or familiar. Set clear boundaries, even in subtle ways, to protect your sense of control. When you stop reacting, their influence often begins to weaken naturally over time. Being alone for a moment is better than being controlled without realizing it. Focus on behavior, not feelings, because feelings can be easily influenced. Break the patterns that keep pulling you back into the same dynamic repeatedly. Step forward with awareness, choosing connection instead of falling into it unconsciously. Rebuild your sense of identity by slowly trusting your perception again. And remember, real trust grows from consistency, not perfect imitation. Think about the people in your life who seem to understand you too quickly. Ask yourself if that connection feels real or just perfectly reflected back to you. Notice the subtle patterns you may have ignored, especially in comfortable interactions. The more aware you become, the harder it is for manipulation to take hold. And the more control you regain, the clearer your decisions begin to feel. Because awareness doesn't break connection, it protects you from the wrong ones. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it again. If this helped you understand your patterns better, consider subscribing for more clarity like this.